What if it all worked out? What if it actually all worked out? This was something that I was discussing with a couple of clients this morning. So we are here in Mexico City, and I took a bunch of client calls this morning, and I told my clients to reflect on this one particular question. If all of this was inevitable, how would you move? You see, a lot of the times we get caught up in the what I like to call the in-between space. The in-between space is essentially the space where you get caught up in the fears, in the doubts, in the what ifs, in the what will this person say, what will my family say if I show up, if I speak up. We get so caught up in that we don't lock into the bigger vision. And I shared this when we first started our very first business. I just had almost like a delusion, like belief that it'll all work out. And maybe that was a little bit of naivety. Maybe we didn't know what we were doing, but I just believed that I would create a life that was bigger than what I had at that moment. Now, I was sharing this with my client. I was just like, at that time, my big goal was to make $3,000. And that wasn't even $3,000 for me. That was $3,000 between Tom and I. We were young. Tom was 22. I was 25. And we were just like backpackers. And we were like, if we could make $3,000 a month from our online business, we could travel Southeast Asia forever. We would write up and we could pitch hostels and stay in the hostels for free. Like that was our big goal. But I just believe that it would happen. I really do believe that we succeeded in our businesses because of that one fundamental thing, that belief that it was going to happen. And it's so crazy when I think about it now, when I verbalize everything that's happened, because we believe that. And so it didn't matter that we didn't own any computers. It didn't matter that we were going to start an online business and didn't have laptops. Like, who does that? And so our solution was just like, oh, this is an inconvenience, but this is inevitable. And so therefore, we just make it happen. So we would go to internet cafes and work on our first business. At that time, it was a travel blog. And so we would work and build the travel blog from internet cafes. And then eventually I borrowed $300 from Tom. I bought a shitty old computer, and this computer would take 10 minutes to start up and go, it like whir. And half of the time I wanted to throw it to a wall, but it worked. And that's how we built our first business. And so if you truly believe that all of this was inevitable, the business that you want, the life that you want, how would you move differently? How would you show up in your life? What actions would you take that you aren't taking now? And this is something that I really encourage everyone to do. Something that I encourage everyone to reflect on. How would you move differently? How would you actually show up in your life and in your business? What are you going to do from this lens? Through that client call, I was just like, she has big dreams. This client of mine, she was like, I want to become the female Tony Robbins. I want to do this. I want to impact millions of lives. I'm like, great. I'm like, what moves do you need to do to make that happen? And are you 100%, if you're being honest with yourself, are you showing up in that capacity now? And she was like, no. And I was like, why? And she's so caught up in the in-between. I want you to think, in your life, where are you caught up? What actions are you not taking because you don't, with 100% certainty, believe? Like, I shared this with my clients. I was just like, I have this belief that I'm going to sell 1 million copies of my book. Do I know how I'm going to make that happen? Absolutely not. It's funny because I'm working with another coach, and she's helping me like reverse engineer to get to this. And she was just like, yeah, but how many do you need? And I was like, I don't know. And she was just like, yeah, but we need to kind of reverse engineer it. And I go, time is the only variable. It doesn't matter if it takes me 5 years to reach this goal, or if it takes me a year, I just know it's going to happen. And so rather than focusing on the how, I am going to keep focusing on the who. Who do I need to become to make this possible? And so I want you to think about your big dream, whatever it is. I want you to think, who do I need to be to make this happen? What are the moves that this person needs to make in order to make this happen? So for me, I know that if I want to make this happen, if I want to sell 1 million freaking copies of my book, I need to show up in multiple platforms. I need to express my voice. I need to write like a crazy person, like a psychopath. I always ask myself, who do I need to be? How do I need to build a community? I need to go all out and build a community of people who believe in this mission. This is why I launched the Ex Good Girls Club. This is a Substack channel, a community page, an Instagram group. I know that in order to launch this book, it needs to have a community, a manifesto, a group of people who believe in the message. And so for me, a lot of the times, for me to actually get to my goals, I just need to ask myself this one question. If I truly believe that this was inevitable, how would that change how I show up? I hope this video landed. I've been creating content here for probably, this is like day 20, which is crazy because I gave myself 30 days to create content here on YouTube. And honestly, it's been hard. It's been hard to show up and get a couple of views, especially when my clients pay me thousands and thousands of dollars for the things that I am sharing, for the advice that I am giving. But I know that even if just one person hears this advice and one person takes action and one person goes, yes, how am I showing up? And that person changes the trajectory of their life, amazing. I'd be so freaking happy. And so I gave myself a deadline of 30 days of not looking at the views, not looking at the counts, not looking at the subscribers, and just focusing on articulating my craft, articulating the big message of playing small, of dismantling the good girl conditioning that has kept women small, of speaking your truth, of showing up, of leading yourself and navigating life as someone who wants these big ass dreams. So if this video resonated, like, comment, subscribe. It will be much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.